Hey, good afternoon. Miguel Lloyd, host of Chamber Live, and we're going to get into it today. Thank you so much for giving us your time today. And if it's your first time tuning into Chamber Live, what we do here, Chamber Live, is we take the content and information that we have going on with the Atlanta Black Chambers. We bring it to you with our wonderful myself and my co-host Raquel Hill, and then we have some amazing guests that we have on a monthly basis. This is a monthly show, so if you missed any of these shows in the past, we've had some great shows. Going back last month, we had Luis Negron. We had Eldridge Taylor. Eldridge Washington. We've had, oh my God, just you name it. Go to our Facebook page. Make sure you follow us on Facebook. Make sure you follow us on YouTube, and you'll be able to see some of those past shows. But let me go ahead and let me bring in my co-host, girl, Two Shot. Where you at? There we go. Good afternoon, Rock. How you doing?
Good afternoon. I am well. Happy Thursday, everybody. Happy Women's History Month.
Happy Women's History Month, and in honor of Women's History Month, we're going to have some wonderful guests today that are going to focus in that area. We have Michelle Glover, who if you are a part of the Atlanta Black Chambers, you don't know Michelle Glover. Uh, First of all, I don't know how you don't know Michelle Glover. She leads our women's league, great group of women that are the backbone of our organization. We're about, I think you verified for me, 65% of our business owners in the chamber are women. We're
Yes.
well over 600 members that are members of the Atlanta Black Chambers, and so you're going to learn more about her. But we're not just going to talk about the Women's League. We want to talk about Journey Unlimited, her business. We're going to talk about the work she's doing in coaching all types of folks in their business. She started off in a corporate career and then moved over into an entrepreneurship well over 5 years ago. So we're going to talk about that. We also have Dr. Melonie Hill. Dr. Hill is a doctor in her own right. She's a real estate professional, but she's also the wife of Michael Hill, who founded this organization. And so, of course, she's done some amazing things in her own right. But we want to talk to her about how this organization started, how it was in the beginning, and also how it's helped, how she's enjoyed the work that her husband and our organization has done. And she was the forerunner, excuse me, of the women's league. She was at the beginning of the women's league, and so in the end of the show, we'll get to talk a little bit about. We want to get all four of us together because we're going to bring in Dr. Hill as well as Lord have mercy, Michelle Glover. We're going to all talk together. I got to get my mouth together right now. So anyway, so let's do a little bit of a recap as we did. We started this a little bit last month, but we wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on in the world, what's going on in Atlanta, how it's affecting us as business people, and why it is important. And so recently, we had an opportunity. The chamber has been having some success in building relationship in the corporate space, and there's some grant opportunities that have been given. Earned by some of our business owners. There's some other opportunities that we're finding with U.S. Black Chambers. They're making some announcements. But when it's all said and done, we as Black folks, we're rolling. The infrastructure bill has been moving along, and there's some opportunities there that I hope that you all are taking advantage of. We just heard just this past Tuesday the State of the Union address by President Biden. And so some of that stuff also will affect it. But let's not forget what's going on in Europe, because right now, as you see those gas prices going up, and as you see issues with the supply chains and all of that, it's not going to get any better right now with the war going on, Raquel, between Russia and Ukraine. So we want to make sure we are praying for them. But let's not forget, because there's another story that's going on out there that is not getting a lot of press, is that there are a lot of African refugees that are living in Ukraine, trying to escape Ukraine, and they're being denied exodus from Ukraine during this war. And so we definitely feel for the Ukraine people of Ukraine and what they're going through. But in addition to the European people of Ukraine, there are African folks who have moved and they built lives in Ukraine, and now they are suffering, and they don't have a way to get out of the country. And so we want to make sure we're keeping an eye on that, Rob. And so as we look at, I can turn myself up a little bit because I can't quite hear myself. So those are some of the things that we have been we're keeping our eye on with what's going on in the world. But let's move on over. I want to give you an opportunity. Let's talk about some recaps, Raquel. Let's talk about what has been going on in the chamber in the last 30 days. And let me pull it up. And we're going to while we do that, we're going to pull up our Instagram page so you guys can see what is going on. Why is it not clicking? Come on now.
Come on, come on.
Come on, come on, come on. You know what I said? If everything, I done tested everything for the last hour, and now we're gonna sit up here and act a fool with me right now. All right, let's see. Two shot and Raquel. There we go. That's the shot I want. All right, so let's get into it. What have we been doing in the chamber in the last 30 days? I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. Let's start off. You said you wanted to start off with it was something happened on the ninth. Let me go. It was our financial wellness seminar, right?
So on February 9th, we gathered at the Russell Innovation Center for Entrepreneurship, along with our corporate sponsors, Mass Mutual, and we had a financial wellness lunch and learn where we were given a vast amount of information of how to put all of our ducks in a row so that we can be financially secure for the future. It is time for us as a people to stop being afraid of stepping into our wealth and our success, and our partners at Mass Mutual Perimeter were there to just drop some gems and let us know that they are a resource to help us plug in and become financially secure. The very next day, on February 10th, we had a brand tech webinar. So, coming out of our MCAT group, we spotlight Kit Labs. Kit Labs is one of the brainchilds of Zachary Farley, and we were able to do a virtual tour of Kit Labs as well as an in-person of Kit Labs. Kit Labs is a cutting edge virtual reality facility. They do everything from 3D printing to exploring the metaverse, if you will, and just kind of keeping all of us in the know. And they're right there in Tech Village, in the Tech Village section of Atlanta. Following that, we had a chiropractic. Our two chamber members who are chiropractors, Dr. Joseph Fowler and Dr. Brandon Williams, they talked about the importance of chiropractic care and how it's essential to your mental and physical wellness. There's so much that goes along the activities of your spine that can impact your wellness as a whole. And these guys, they are so passionate and excited about the work that they are doing. They're located over in Ali at Lakewood, in the Lakewood area. It's on Jonesboro Road, but it's not in the South Metro area. It's right here in the city of Atlanta. So great job with Dr. coming out of our Health and Human Services Committee with Dr. Fowler and Dr. Williams. Following that, we had an introduction to commercial real estate. Our RPS, our Real Estate Professional Services Committee, is always on the cutting edge of presenting information. In our audience, we had a lot of real estate professionals asking some amazing questions. One of the topics that was discussed is how people are trying to buy property here in Atlanta. Let's look at the secondary markets, like what's going on in like Alabama and the suburbs and other areas around in terms of being able to invest in commercial property. It was moderated by yours truly and led by Joseph Harlan, John Thomas, and James Kriegler, coming in and discussing financial aspects of it. Now, one of the highlights of that event was our corporate sponsor, Fiserv, coming in and awarding a $10,000 grant to chamber member Amber Woolfolk. Amber Woolfolk has the business called Solve Tutoring, and Solve Tutoring was given $10,000 to position her business for success. It was an amazing thing to experience. Amber was like overwhelmed, but doing her best to kind of maintain her composure as she posed for pictures, but she did have her hallelujah moment in the car on the way home as she gave shout outs to the chamber and the things that we are doing. So again, it was so again, February being Black History Month was very action packed, honoring current histories and things that we are taking care of. And if you were following us on social media, you saw that we were highlighting Black history as it happens now and as it happened in the past. So that is what we did in the month of February, and I cannot wait to tell you what's coming up in the month of March.
Yeah, we're busy, man. And if you're not connected, as we mentioned, you can follow us on social. We're very busy. Most of our events, as you can see, are right there on our Instagram page, as well as our Facebook page, where you can follow us. And then shows like this and other webinars and Zoom calls and things that we have, including our Tuesday talks. Because we didn't talk about Tuesday talks, we had we had a great lineup of folks that were there for Tuesday Talks. Let's go back to this shot because we want folks to know some of the folks that we had on Tuesday Talks this past month, which included, let me go. We had, of course, H. Jerome Russell, Jr., the Russell family. He was one of our Tuesday Talks guests, which of course is hosted by Executive Director Melvin Coleman. We also had at the beginning we had Richard Rose from the NAACP. He was also one of our guests last month, and then also we had Kelvin Collins of the Atlanta Beltline. Guys, if you are not connecting with us here at the chamber, you're missing out. There are some great opportunities. All of these calls are in our Atlanta Black Chambers members only Facebook group. And if you want to listen to the recall, Keith Parker from Goodwill in North Georgia. I think we learned some things about Goodwill we may not have known, that they are very heavily involved when you start talking about workforce development. That is something that I think a lot of us may not have known. And so there's a great that we do a lot of great work of building a lot of great relationships and providing resources here in the market. And so we encourage you to join in. As you know, most of these events are public. But there are membership hazards privileges, so you can make sure you go to our website, atlantablackchambers.org, when you have an opportunity to join our organization. So let's get ready to get into. Let's bring in our first guest. As we mentioned, Dr. Melonie Hill. Dr. Melonie Hill is a doctor. We'll let her talk about her practice and what she the type of her practice in the market. But she's also in the real estate space as well. But she also is the wife of Michael Hill, who founded this organization back in 2005. And so, so we want to talk about a little bit of all that during Black History Month. So let's bring in our first guest. Let's see. Let me make sure we got her set up here. And there she is. Good afternoon, Dr. Hill. How are you?
I'm good, Miguel and Raquel. Nice to see you guys. Can you hear me?
We can hear you fine. We can hear you fine. Let me see if I can
Okay,
get myself
perfect.
in my shot a little bit
Okay.
better. There we go.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Well, welcome, Dr.
There we
Hill,
go.
and so Mama, it's been a while. We've all been real busy, and you and Michael out
Mhm.
there doing your thing, you're grinding and getting it done. But when they said that you agreed to be a guest on the show today, I said, "Oh, I'm gonna love this," because we met years ago, right? We met years ago when my
Mhm.
wife and I we first moved here to the area, and I
Mhm.
found and Lord knows I'm almost certain that you are an AKA as well as my wife,
Of
correct?
course.
Of
Of
course,
course.
of course,
There's
of
no
course. And
yes.
so, there was a connection. Of course, you three are the
Mhm.
first fam because your husband's an alpha, my wife's an AK, you're an AKA.
Mhm. Mhm.
Of course,
Mhm.
I went the right route and became a Kappa, but that's a whole nother
Okay.
conversation. But
Well, I still have love for Kappas. My father was a Kappa,
all
so
right, well,
I still.
cool, 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 cool. Well, I
Mhm.
want, I want, I want you to talk to us. Let's start off from the beginning. And Raquel, come on, I want you to jump into this conversation early, um, because the two of us we came along well into the tenure. You guys have been working on the Black Chamber. At that point, it was Atlanta Metropolitan Black Chamber of
Mhm.
Commerce.
Mhm.
Talk to us about those first few conversations that you and Michael had
Mhm.
about his vision for this organization.
Oh my gosh, Miguel, you're taking me back. I recall Michael. I think when he first presented the idea of a chamber, he felt very compelled to. I can't remember what fueled his desire, but I remember him sitting me down. It's like, babe, I think I want to start an organization. I said, what are you talking about? And he said, he's always been very passionate about giving the Black community a voice. We both are very passionate about entrepreneurship in general. And he said, I know that one of the ways in which our community thrives in this world is through economic freedom. And I think we both share that passion. And he said, I've been researching, because if you all know Michael, he loves to research. He loves to gain as much information about something. And he said, I think the chamber, because he researched how chambers were structured and
Mm-hmm.
the origin. I don't know if you remember in the early days when we would have the presentations, he would literally go
We
through
still
kind of
do
the
the same
history. Oh,
presentation.
okay,
Yes, it's still
really.
there. Absolutely. Yeah, Raquel can speak to
um
that, right? That the origins of the chamber are still in the
Origins of
presentation.
the chamber,
That's
yeah. So
correct.
that was
Yes.
something that he studied that. And so I think this is the vehicle in which I can set this organization up as a chamber.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing my before then knowing Michael, I knew that, when I married, I knew that he was very much an entrepreneur. And before I married him, I was not an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
I was very traditional. And so when he said it to me, I was like, okay, how we're going to do this? But I just kind of believed in him, believed
Mm-hmm.
in what he was stating. And so I've always tried to be as supportive as I could with him. And in my mind, in support, and what I learned is that part of my role of being supportive of Michael was to indeed be involved, not just to kind of listen to his ideas, but to really be a part of his ideas. And because he does the same for me. And along this journey, I when I started learning about entrepreneurship, because like I said, I came from a very traditional family. My family's worked and had, in careers for 30 plus years,
Mm-hmm.
apart from my grandfather. But we and so we just started building. And I think because of his personality, he had that ability to kind of bring people together. He's very much a salesperson, as you all know. And
Right.
so he was able to really rally people around him that really bought into the idea. So um it was difficult, at times, because it was a startup. It's like, although it's an organization, it's really a startup business.
Absolutely.
And so, of course, with any startup, there are going to be challenges. And I know I always tell, I said, gosh, the chamber was almost our um source of a divorce for us, because it was like we were always like, oh my God, what are you doing? But I honestly can say, and really looking back over it now that he plays a different role in the chamber now, um, I can say the relationships that he established, that we established, are enduring. The connections, the lessons learned. We both grew so much as a person. Our relationship was challenged along the way, but I know, looking where we are now, we're so much closer, because of those challenges, and that we were able to work through them. It was an opportunity. It has fueled really my passion about really helping other couples, other entrepreneurial couples,
Mm-hmm.
around this topic of knowing how to support your mate, and knowing their just the challenges that go along with entrepreneurship. And I'm a very transparent person. Like, I'm going to tell you, if it's a struggle, it's a struggle.
Right.
And I think that's needed in our community, to speak truth, to not just talk about the highlights of something, because a lot of times we get caught up in just highlighting your successes, but there are also challenges and difficulties along the way that helped you to recognize when you have a success, to appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like I said, we started off at Morris Brown College. That was our first meeting space.
Mm-hmm.
We that was due to my the president of that time of Morris Brown College was my godfather. And I shared with him, Dr. Jolly. I shared with him. I said, Michael has this idea. He loved Michael, and I said, would you allow us to use the space at Morris Brown?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, Melanie, whatever you want to do. And so it was. There we started building our base. And I always kind of took a I'm very much an observer. I don't have to be like the center of focus. I tend to kind of observe people and listen and things like that. And then we would come home, because Michael is very, he's very vocal. He's,
Mm-hmm.
always in the midst of things.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would come home, we would process what happened. Um I would give him my feedback, my observations. We would try to tweak things and keep moving forward. So it has indeed been, it was indeed, and it continues to be an indeed of a journey that challenged us, but ultimately strengthened us as individuals and as a couple. And it's something that we indeed share, because we continue to have that mutual passion for strengthening our community through entrepreneurship.
Yeah, that's a great story, and I appreciate the transparency because I think that's something that we don't have that honest conversation enough. You know,
Mhm.
the journey of an entrepreneur, it ain't nothing to play with.
Absolutely.
And there are a
It's not
lot of
for the weak and weary.
it is not for the weak and weary, and you need a
Mhm.
supportive partner if you are in a relationship without question. If you're not in a relationship, you still need supportive partners who may not,
Mhm.
you know, you're gonna have to find
Absolutely.
somebody to help you along that way. So I definitely appreciate the transparency. Raquel, what you got, sis?
Well, I just wanted to add one of the questions I was going to kind of pose to you is, as a wife, you're finding yourself in a role where you're supporting the dreams of other people, and it was great for you to kind of share how you were able to be satisfied. This
Mhm.
also met some of your goals, and one of the highlights of what you said was that you were able to kind of define, um, working alongside of Michael. Now you can do things that fuel other couples who are entrepreneurs because you
Right.
understand struggle. We when I first joined the chamber, my first public role was that of the assistant for Michael Hill. So I
Mhm.
understand a lot of
Mhm.
what his thought processes and the phone calls he and I would have at 7 o'clock in the morning as he brain dumped and we tried to organize and talk about the future of the chamber. So we've always known that you've been there in the background. Just real quick, because it's Women's History Month, tell us of a Black woman who inspired you, who in history
Mhm.
kind of led, um, that you follow.
Oh wow. Gosh. Um that's an interesting question, Raquel. I can tell you there are many that I admire. I don't know if I've ever had just that one specific woman that I say I follow, but what I can say is I'll tell you the profile of the woman that I
Mm,
have always admired. Because I am married and I am a mother particularly. I think this is unique. I've always looked for towards other women who were mothers as well,
mhm.
because I think the role of a female entrepreneur as a mother is different. It's not better, it's not worse, but it is different. And because I know that the role of a mother, oftentimes I say as mompreneurs, sometimes we move slower. And that's the reality of it, because if you are a committed mother, you tend to put you have to consider another person or persons at all times.
Absolutely.
And so that means that sometimes you can't work until or be up late, all hours of the night or things working on a project, because you have the needs of your child or children at the forefront. So for me, I've always looked towards, when I hear about other women who are entrepreneurs, business owners, I always listen to their life story, their family dynamics, and I listen to them and I say, okay, hey, if this person was able to do it with the multiple responsibilities, multiple things pulling at her time, then I felt like I could do it as well. As I say, I tell you somebody that has kind of resonated with me recently, actually, and I tend to follow her. I've gotten her books and things of that nature. Is Rachel Rogers? I don't know if you all are familiar with Rachel Rogers.
Hmm.
She's the founder of Hello Seven,
Okay.
and it is a organization. She has podcasts and books and things, but it's basically she's committed to creating women millionaires. So when she says
Hmm.
hello seven, we're talking about trying to
Seven
create women
figures.
who own seven figures and more.
Amazing.
And she's a mother of three, similar as myself. and married as well. And she talks about her journey. She was an attorney first, and then and I also could relate to that. I'm not an attorney, but we both had our own practice. I have my own practice. Of course, I'm a psychologist, but she talked about how her pricing structure, how she would undersell herself.
Mm-hmm.
I could relate to that, and how she finally started charging what she was worth,
Mm-hmm.
and the amount of time that she put into something. And that's something that I have started learning along this journey is value your worth, Melanie, value your knowledge, your skill set. And so for me, so that was a long answer to your question, Raquel, but I think it has been the profile of a certain woman that I have tended to want to emulate. And I will say, I don't know if this is a question, I will say my passion for women,
Mm.
like I said, particularly mothers, was what fueled the women's league in the chamber.
Mm-hmm.
Um that's because I said, okay, if I'm going to be a part of this, what part of his vision can I take ownership of? And
Mm-hmm.
it was the understanding the plight of women, um, and what women owners, mothers, things of that nature. And I remember telling him one day, he would always he just recently got this, but I would always tell him, I
It
said,
takes us a while sometimes.
okay,
We know.
I've learned it over the years, Miguel. But, um, I would watch him in meetings. I would watch, like you, Raquel, I would watch other women in the meetings, and I would see sometimes that women could say something and it might fall on deaf ears. It would go unnoticed. But a man could say the same thing or something similar, and all of a sudden it's a great idea. And I said, okay. I said, babe, that's the privilege of being a man. And he didn't understand that. I said, women have to really assert themselves. Sometimes it can be come across as being aggressive or angry. I said, but part of that assertiveness is because they probably have gone unheard for quite some time. And so when they finally want to voice their opinion, sometimes it comes out very powerfully, very strong, in a very forceful manner. I said, we have to do something specific for women, because
Mm-hmm.
women need a space. They need a safe space. They need a voice. They need a place where they can be heard, and they don't have to speak loudly. They can just speak like themselves and still be appreciated.
Well,
So,
I can tell you that, and I know you're still around, but Lord knows that our organization has taken that and has ran with it. We have
oh,
some
mhm.
amazing
That warms
women.
my heart too.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. So we appreciate you taking that initiative and taking forward. Before we get out of here, we got to talk about your business. Let's talk about your
Yes,
transition from corporate
yes,
America to a business owner. You not only are a psychologist, but you're also a real estate professional.
yes.
Talk to us about your journey right now as an entrepreneur.
Of course, and I'll make it quick because I know Michelle is coming in. Um, so of course, like I said, I've been a licensed psychologist for many years now. Excuse me, and I worked in different settings before I started my practice. I worked for Emory University for several years as a psychologist, and along that journey, I knew, like I said, again, kind of being with Michael and being a part of the Black Chamber of Commerce, the Atlanta Black Chamber of Commerce, I knew that entrepreneurship was something I wanted to do. And so how I began, I said, okay, I started looking at how others behavioral health practices were structured. And my very first contract that I acquired was a contract with the Georgia Department of Labor, where I began to perform disability evaluations for folks who were applying for Social Security benefits. And so that was my first contract. That was my first kind of gateway to building my practice. And I built that referral base because I knew that they had, after I learned their system, I knew that that would be a consistent referral source for me. And from there, I started acquiring other contracts with different agencies. While, because as a psychologist, I as a healthcare provider, it was important for me to be on the insurance panels, but that's a process. That's not like you can say, oh, today I want to be a part of Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield. That's usually a 90-day to sometimes a 6-month process. So in the meantime, and before that could happen, I had to find a source of revenue, and that's how I became credentialed with Georgia Department of Labor. And so I've
Mm-hmm.
continued to grow my practice. I now am in the stage of moving somewhat away from the direct clinical services. I do have another psychologist now in my office, and
Mm-hmm.
two licensed professional counselors. Now I do more research, consulting, and training,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's how that came about. And then my real estate, I'll just say that really quickly. In 2017, I think I was going through a midlife crisis, maybe, I don't know, but I became kind of like, okay, Melonie, what else is next? You're kind of getting burnt out with what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And really, it was a girlfriend of mine who introduced, she was in real estate. She was on the residential side, but she says, Melonie, I think you'd be really good at real estate. You have the personality, you know how to talk to people, blah, blah, blah. And so I just kind of went for it. I told Michael one day, I said, I think I'm gonna get my real estate license. He's like, what? And I said, I think, and it was just kind of on a whim, and I
Uh-huh.
did. And in the process of me taking my classes, I found that I had a love for commercial real estate because it was helping owners, it was
Yeah,
helping business owners. And
absolutely.
I'll say this real quickly. I have to say, give a shout out to one of the chamber members, John Thompson, who's a
Mm-hmm.
member of the Atlanta Black Chamber, was my mentor. John
Okay.
Thompson. I worked with John on his real estate team, commercial real estate team. So I had great people around me like him, who encouraged me, who supported me. And so now I kind of pulled a little bit away from the real estate. I'm still a referring agent, of course, but my passion now is indeed continuing with building my behavioral health practice in research, training, and consultation. So, and if
Melanie.
you have a referral, I'll probably send it to John. So,
Okay.
or
Okay.
someone else. So yeah, so that's where I am with things.
Well, yeah, John is for folks who were watching earlier. He is on the flyer for the event. We had a real estate professional development event
I saw. Yep.
earlier. He was there. He's very active in the chamber. But
Hmm.
Melanie, we appreciate your story.
Yes,
Now, you're gonna hang with us, right? We're gonna talk to
I
Michelle. You're
will.
gonna come back in. We're gonna get all of you guys together here
Absolutely.
shortly.
Will do.
I see a lot of folks here in the chat here. As we appreciate you guys that are here today. Let me see who we got. We got Stacy Porter. What's up, my friend? Tamika Duncan. Tamika, sis, met you last a couple weeks ago with the space here in McDonough, close to the house. I always love when I can get some stuff done, meet some great folks close to the house. And so right here in the McDonough area, Tiffany McQueen Williams. Don't know you, sis, but I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much for joining us today. As we look at Reg John, let me see. I think these little small little profile pictures, I got a feeling when I pull it up, I probably know his face. I still too small.
Hmm.
But I appreciate you, Kayshawn Cranen. She was talking about this was a great event. I think she might have been talking about one of
Keisha
the.
Crane, she's real estate. She co-hosts
Okay,
the
okay,
women's live. Yeah.
okay, awesome, awesome. Yeah. She the Friday event. She does the Friday lives. Awesome,
Yes.
awesome, awesome. Well, yeah, we want to appreciate y'all. Make sure you guys in the chat drop your business name, drop your websites. This is all about us making connections, all about us building together. And so make sure that you drop that stuff in here. Who else we got right here? Walil Archer checking in, great photographer, videographer. He's in the house, as well as my man who just doesn't seem to be able to find his profile picture. I always I always got to mess with my brother Calvin. Calvin Maddox, man, for people who don't know, he is one of the longtime
Yeah.
dedicated members of the chamber. This brother.
I've just embraced it. That is his picture. That is that's Calvin's Facebook picture.
That's my guy. That's my guy. So make sure you guys drop your information, and we'll probably drop some more comments or business before the end of the show. We're gonna drop some of those links here for your businesses and things. So next up, we got to bring in the chamber, one of the chamber superstars. So um, Michelle Glover, Michelle and I probably came into the chamber about the same time. about
Mhm.
7 or 8 years ago, and we got in and we talked to Melanie a minute ago. Melanie can attest to this. Michael saw us and said, "Okay, you getting to work and
Yep.
you getting to work."
Yep. That would be true.
Yep. And so immediately when it happened, if you guys can still hear Melanie and Michelle back there, they chiming in. We're gonna get them all in a second. But Michelle came in, she came in very early, and she got to work. This girl is amazing. This woman is amazing. She does great things. She's helped to build this organization tremendously over the course of the last 4 to 5 years in leadership. And I know she knows exactly how long it has been. But let me stop bumbling around with this and bring in my sister. Hold on, let me see, make sure I get the right setup over here. There we go. All right. Good afternoon, Sister Michelle Glover.
Good afternoon, Raquel, Miguel. And yeah, you're 8, 7. I'm like, wait a minute, pull that in. I think it was like 4 or 5 years that we have been with the chamber. Yeah.
I moved here in 2014,
Oh
and I
wow.
and I and I was pretty busy with the chamber by 2015. So that's
Oh
seven
wow.
years ago. It's been a minute.
Okay. Well,
It's
time
been a minute.
flies when you're having fun. How about
Well,
that?
we as men, we let the gray come in and we cool with it. Y'all like to shave years off, and we're totally cool with that. Whatever
Right,
you say, Michelle, however long it's been, that's how long it's been. But let's get into this thing, and I promise that I said we're gonna talk about the women's league for a little bit because we do plenty of
right.
stuff about the women's league, but this is gonna be about Michelle, and this is gonna be about Journey Unlimited. We're gonna talk about your journey, during the course of your
Mhm.
career. So talk to us about you coming into the chamber. First of all, you left corporate and moved into
Mhm.
entrepreneurship around the same time you became a member of the chamber. Talk to us about that journey.
So, really, I'll fast forward through some parts, but I share with people, and anyone who knows my story knows that entrepreneurship was never something I wanted to do. Like I was very Miss Corporate America, so to speak. I
Mm-hmm.
love being in that space, but I did more of a spiritual journey on where God would have me in my life. And in that prayer and fasting is when I was led to quit my very comfortable, cushy corporate job and start this role of entrepreneurship. Why this is important? Because when I joined the chamber, it was because I realized I was very networked internally in corporate America, but I knew no one really outside of the organization. I was not really involved in Atlanta, the scene of Atlanta. I wasn't involved in any, business organizations. And so it was very important to me to really call it my pound the pavement stage, where I was like, I got to build my network. I got to figure out how to do this entrepreneurial thing. And so one of the organizations I joined starting was the chamber, to get into networking with professionals, networking with business owners, learning the skills and tools to start and grow a business. And I'll share, why I joined the Atlanta Black Chambers in corporate America. Uh, there were not a lot of people who looked like me in leadership. And I'm like, well, gosh dang it, when I leave corporate America, I want to be around my people. So I joined the Atlanta Black Chamber at that time to say, okay, I want to get involved with an organization where, I could help support and grow it. And so I joined the chamber. And at the time, and I know we're going to talk more about this, it was in this kind of going through its own evolution. And that's where I was able to really get my hands dirty. And I call it, I don't know if I was volunteered or voluntold, but Michael definitely definitely had some plans for me that with the women's league. So
Well, here's the thing. We people like us, we try to run from these roles. We try. We're not very
right,
successful.
not at all.
We're not very successful. Raquel started in this thing, as you mentioned. She's been around here doing everything, being the glue here for a long time, and so the women's league is now. You got over 2,000 people who are following you on LinkedIn, and this is just individually. This is not the chamber. This is an auxiliary as being an affinity group. You guys have you have coming up. I believe it's a retreat coming up at the end of March.
Hmm.
You guys do an amazing job of making the women feel very involved. The chamber right now, 65% of our business owners are women. And so we're very proud of the work that you and your team, because it ain't just you.
Hmm.
You've got an amazing group of women who are helping you to lead that part of our organization. But let's talk about Journey Unlimited. Let's talk about what Journey Unlimited does, and how you got to that space here, and how well you're serving in the chamber, because that's one thing we want people to understand.
Mhm.
We serve in this chamber. Ain't no salaries coming this way, right? We serve in this chamber, but we've all benefited, and our businesses have grown because
Mhm.
some people love to work with people who serve. So talk about how serving the chamber has helped your business grow with Journey Unlimited.
Okay, so first I'll talk about Journey Unlimited. So when my background is human resources, have a master's in human resources. And so, I did executive coaching, change management, leadership development, all of that in corporate. But when I started, my business, I wanted to elevate the career conversation where it wasn't just about what you do, but it's about understanding your purpose and your why and how you can leverage that in corporate America. Most people think that, oh, if I, work a 9 to 5, then I just have to do that and check the box. And I share that you can live in what God has called you to do and be very successful in corporate America. But it's leveraging your gifts, your talents, your skills, your experiences to, find that role and then elevate in it. So, people think, oh, if I have this purpose mindset, I have to take a pay cut. And that's the first thing people say to me is, well, I want to live a purpose in my career, but I'm going to have to make less money. And I share, I've had a client who we doubled her salary with a purpose mindset. We got
Mm-hmm.
30% more, another client, 30% more,
Mm-hmm.
because it's using what you're naturally good at and letting it shine. So that's something I wanted to bring is this faith alignment career and do that in this space of an place that people usually don't like to talk faith is in corporate America. But I've helped people do that and shine. And so that was important to me when I started my business, that I wanted alignment. And so I
Mm-hmm.
say that a lot,
Mm-hmm.
is alignment and who you are, why you do what you do, and how you can be successful in doing that. So, I coach people, I do workshops for organizations where we talk purpose. I do team events for organizations and speak on this topic because right now we have a society that is, it's kind of like coming into work. Um, I don't want to say dead, but, looking forward to the weekend on Monday.
Yeah.
And what happens if you had employees, if you were that employee who looked forward to coming work, who loved what they did and shined? Helps companies with profitability, it helps employees with engagement, satisfaction, from a stress, reduces that workplace stress, which is one of the number one killers is stress.
Right.
And so that I've been able to incorporate with Journey Unlimited.
Raquel, you got anything?
All right, so this is great stuff, and I'm super excited to have you on our chamber live for Women's League. And again, I just want to commend you because again, if anyone missed it, you started Journeys Unlimited at the same time you were asked to start the Women's League. So we've been able
Mm.
to see you grow those two things together. I just remember having lunch with you at the gathering spot, and
Yes.
just the look of the future on your face was just like you got this, Michelle, you can do this. So I want to
Yes.
ask you the same question that I asked Melonie, and the reason why I'm passionate about this question is there are a lot of women who have been before us in Black history that we don't necessarily learn about because of what they
Mhm.
do, of how they treat women historically and how they don't really put
Mhm.
us on these platforms. And I learned late about Ella Baker, and then I learned that she is who I emulate myself of. She's a strong Black woman who was doing all this stuff behind the scenes to support everybody, and she made a whole bunch of people look really good. So with that as the lead-in, who has been your elevator? Who has been the person that you've kind of witnessed, pave the way for you as a Black woman entrepreneur?
Sure. So I'm going to give a little plug for the Women's League. So we are going to be featuring some of those unknown women, Black women historical makers this month with the Women's League. So follow us on LinkedIn so you can, and on Facebook, the Chamber's Facebook, to see some of those women who maybe we don't know about, but who have done a lot to make change in society. So that's a plug. For me, it's someone who it is Beulah Glover. That is my grandmother. Uh,
Mm.
why she is important. At the time, she was my grandmother. I thought she was kind of mean because she was very firm. But this is a woman who, back in the 30s, 40s, raised 10 kids, right? In addition to that, she owned land. Her and my grandfather owned land, and they made sure that all of their children had land in St. Helena, um, which is in South Carolina, in Beaufort, South Carolina. So had land. Also, she wanted her grandchildren to had land. She was always thinking about legacy. And at the time, and even now, that area in Beaufort, South Carolina, they're always raising the taxes, right? For the people to really, as we know what's happening, get the people out of that land. And
Mm-hmm.
what they did in the community, my grandparents and aunts and uncles, great aunts and uncles, they pulled their money together to help people pay for their taxes so they could keep their land. So
Wow.
she was an entrepreneur mindset, always providing, was very active in her church and very active in her community and very active in supporting Black people. So at the time, I just thought, oh, she was mean and stern and whatever. But everything she did, it was like, I'm trying to create legacy and generational wealth that I didn't get that at the time. But now I'm like, who knew? So she's not in the history books, but she is someone who, man, I wish when I was younger, I talked to her more about her business building skills because
Yeah.
she was paving the way.
Yeah, we all kind of missed the mark sometime with some of our
Yeah.
elders, right? So, there's questions that I'd love to ask my grandmother now, and I look back
Mhm.
now. But sometimes, they talk to us and we hear it now, even though it was told to us 30 years ago, right? All right,
Right, right.
I want to bring in Melanie because we want to have a conversation to wrap up the show. We only got about 2 minutes left for the show. We got some great folk. Let me see. Casey's showing some love here. Journey Unlimited is a gem. Help me leverage my purpose and my why. Thank you. That is the way that this stuff is built. But let's bring in so we got Melanie here on the screen. So we appreciate y'all ladies for joining us today and for being a part of this conversation. As the lone brother here on the screen, you guys are making me look good. Thank God for you guys. But I want to talk to all three of you. I want to put this out for all three of you to respond because you all do this very well. Talk about the task of balancing service and entrepreneurship. Serving your community, whether it be through your sororities, we got an AKA, we got a Zeta on the screen, serving in your churches, whether it be Jack and Jill, whatever it may be. Talk about that balance and why it's so important and why it's so satisfying for you guys. And whoever wants to jump in, have at it. All right, well, I'm gonna pick Melanie. Go ahead, because you ain't talked
Yeah,
for a
Melanie,
while.
yeah, you go.
Okay. Well, first of all, hi, Michelle. Okay, I'm sorry. Delighted to see you, sweetheart. Okay, so I'll ask that question. Try to answer that question from my perspective, Miguel. Service and entrepreneurship. While definitely I am an committed to serving others. I have along the way, I have also come to appreciate the notion of strengthening yourself first, so that you are able to be of service to others.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that when we talk about balance, that balancing act is understanding what you need as a person, understanding what you need to replenish yourself, your soul, um, to replenish your time and energy. It's essential. I think as the in the role of being a server and an entrepreneur, because both of them require so much of you. And if you
Mm-hmm.
are not able to replenish yourself and ensure that your soul and that your spiritual and your overall physical health as well as your financial health are not solid, then it's very difficult to service others. So for me to answer that question, I think the balancing act is ensuring that you have what you need as a person first, and then being able to offer that support and to others. That's what I would say to that question.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Michelle.
That is great response. I'll just ditto and just saying, we all heard this saying is you can't pour from an empty cup. So if
Mhm.
your cup is not full, it is hard to pour out to others. I have learned that the hard way,
Mhm.
pouring out, pouring out, pouring out, and then just being dead tired.
Mhm.
And so now it's making sure that I'm getting poured into, which most people
Mm.
think that it's selfish, but it's the reality is you can't give out if there's nothing left to give. So
Right.
making sure that I get poured into, as Melonie was talking about, and then I'm able to pour out to others. And the last thing is everything I do, whether it's the Women's League or church things or other organizations that I'm involved in, if I'm not having fun, like really enjoying it, I don't want to do it. There was
Right.
a time in corporate America where you had to do it because this and this and this. And now I'm like, I want to do things that I like doing. I want to be
Mhm.
around people I enjoy being around.
Yep.
So at the end of the
Mhm.
day, that makes it, we all have times with retreat, for example, that we're really busy trying to get things done. But at the end of the day, I like the women. I like
Yeah.
the women who are on the planning team. I love the women of the Women's League. And the fact that I have fun doing it, it makes it, manageable.
Yeah, it's interesting is that, we always hear about no like and trust, and I've kind of inverted that a little bit. I'd like no trust. I gotta like you
Mhm.
first. Then
Right.
I'll get to know you. Then I can trust you. I don't like to deal
Right.
Mhm.
with people I don't like, know, and trust.
Mhm.
That's just, and the people in this organization I obviously like, know, and trust because, if we're called, everybody here on this screen, if we're called, we're definitely jumping in to get it done. And so,
Mhm.
so we just got a few minutes left. I want you guys to talk a little bit about
I want to
opportunity.
answer the question, Miguel,
Well,
because you
answer the
said
question.
us.
You over there doing everything else over there. I go ahead, jump in, sis, jump in, because you serving over there. Go ahead.
All
Right.
right. So, how do I balance serving and being an entrepreneur at the same time? The three pillars of the Atlanta Black Chamber of Business, Community, and Government are kind of what I abide by. The
Mm-hmm.
community that you live in, you support that community, then you have your own business, and then you want to be knowledgeable about what the government is doing so that you can make proper decisions. One of the things that people may not know about me is that I am actively engaged in my neighborhood. I like to say I moved into a gentrified house on purpose in an underserved community because even when I lived in Trenton, New Jersey, I was always the Kool-Aid house. All the kids hung out at my house. I had my children earlier, so a lot of my the other women were a lot older than me, so they thought I had this energy. Oh, Raquel can go pick up the kids. Raquel can do this. So all the kids hung out, at my house. So when my
Mm-hmm.
son graduated and went off to college, I became this young empty nester with still this lot of love to give. So I find myself even now in community being the Kool-Aid house, and the little boy across the street, he always wants to do stuff in my yard. And then one of the things that I live by, and this may be a little bit too aggressive, is if your neighbor is hungry and then you're eating, you may be the issue. And that also stems from giving from your overflow. If you have it and you know that they are not in a good position, then you should be able to fix them a meal and give them a coat. And I find myself going to local food drives in the neighborhood, overstuffing my car and then knocking on doors and be like, look at my car, look what I have this all this excess food, so come on over and get some. So I'm able to just balance it out, just the same, the same as you ladies. Just I had to learn how to give from my overflow because at the end of the day, I found myself exhausted, and I'm just going to try to hurry this up. So we got 3 minutes.
No, no, we I keep going, girl. We got time. Go
And
ahead.
I've learned that if you don't slow down, God will slow you down. And we
Mm.
all have my
Yes.
story and the ways of which He has slowed me down and made me take a seat. But when you are designed for a specific purpose and you get distracted and you find yourself doing other things, He's going to course correct you and put you
Mm-hmm.
back on track for what you're supposed to do. It's just all a matter of being obedient and listening.
You
I
said, I want you to
And
say
I
that
was
again.
like, preach.
Yeah, you
Right.
said. I want you to say what you said again. You said that if your neighbor is hungry and you're full, then it's your fault. Say that again. Say that part again.
And it goes like if your neighbor is hungry and you're eating, then you're the problem. That's but
Mm.
I will say issue, so it doesn't sound as aggressive. And sometimes again, the no like and trust. Your neighbor's not going to automatically trust you because they think oh, what's she giving me a whole meatloaf? What she want? You have to kind of deal with
Right.
that. But a consistency in your character and showing up for who you are that's going to be your proof. You're not going to win over everybody. So again, I say if your neighbor is hungry, I mean, one time I went to Walmart and bought a whole bunch of gloves for like $1, put them in a bin, and went down to the bus stop. And just kids who just don't have gloves, because I grew up in Jersey, I hated my hands being cold. Just here's some gloves, and you lose them, come back and be here with the same 10 tomorrow, giving out these same gloves. I'm warm in my house, watching you on the bus stop. Here's some gloves. So it's just those kinds of things.
Yeah, it brings me great pleasure when I can. My kids growing so fast. My middle daughter's 10 years old and is 5'4", right? So clothes don't last long, right? And so it feels debated to take bags full of clothes and bags full of shoes and taking the Goodwill and no, this stuff ain't been. The tread is still good on these shoes. The clothes are still fine. Somebody needs this stuff. So that's amazing. All right, so ladies, thank you so much for joining us today. Hey, we got a little applause. Well, we are business people, so make sure, Michelle, first, how can people get in contact with you? How can people do business with you?
Yep. So you can go to journeyunlimited.com. You can follow me at My Journey Unlimited on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. And please, please, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Journey Unlimited. I'm always trying to get those followers up. So please follow me on YouTube.
And what kind of stuff are you doing on YouTube so people can kind of know?
Yeah, so doing career coaching videos, doing tips on how to live a purpose-aligned career, information sessions as well. So it's just a lot to give you the tools, the resources, and just inspiration about how to successfully live a purpose-aligned career.
Amazing. All right, Melonie, what you got? Tell us about your business, how people can do business with you.
Our website is Behavioral Management Group. Is the name of my business, excuse me. And our website is bmgroupllc.com. And you can certainly schedule an initial consult from their website. Also on Instagram, I'm Dr. Melonie Hill. That's Dr. Melonie Hill, Melonie Hill. And what we have coming up is what I spoke about earlier. Is In Love with an Entrepreneur coaching program. So it is a coaching program for entrepreneurial couples. And so if you're interested in that, please feel free to reach out to me.
Yeah,
and thanks, Miguel and Raquel, for this opportunity.
Absolutely. That's a good one, and I can tell you that hits home for me as an entrepreneur. My wife being in the corporate space, it presents challenges. It does. You know what I mean? And so that's a solid ask. So let me see who we got in the chat before we get out of here. We got some other business owners who Tina Greer Business Solutions, client success coach, GreerBusinessSolutions.com. My man Stacy, we always glad to see Stacy in the audience. Porter Global Securities in the audience. We know that. Who else do I see here? I see Rich Wilkins, who is Legal Shield family and one of our key members here with the serving members with the chamber. Everybody else just saying hello. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. Ashlyn Earl, thank you for joining us today. And she said it was a great talk. If you guys missed any of the show, you can go back. You can follow us on our social media platforms. It is early March. Michelle, before we get out of here, I know you got a whole lot of stuff going on in the Women's League. Give us a little bit of an understanding of what you guys got going on before we get out of here.
Yeah, we have a third Friday in March 18th. We have our Women's League call at 8:30. We have our happy hour live on Facebook at 6 p.m. But what we are gearing up for is our Women's League retreat. That's March 25th and 26th at Lake Lanier. I think we booked out of our rooms already, but we're trying to add more if people are interested. I think we have maybe 15 more spots left in the retreat. But it is going to be a day and a half experience of relaxation, of content, of girl talk, of networking, and you don't want to miss it. So, and I'll just add this, it's a retreat. So yes, we're going to have content and learning, but we're also going to have time to enjoy Lake Lanier Island. So please register so you are not hearing about it versus you will be in the mix.
Which means that's cold word, but it's going to be some bottles of wine that's going to be popped, I'm sure.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying, if you've been to a Women's League event, you know that we enjoy business and pleasure.
All right. Well, ladies, thank you so much for joining us for Chamber Live. Raquel, as always, thank you for being the glue that you are. Missed any of this, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, all that good stuff. Melonie, tell Michael I said hello.
Will
I'll
do.
talk to him soon. I owe him a call. God bless, guys. We'll talk to y'all next month.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Guys.